What's going on, guys? I am back at a retirement down in the super secret neutron layer trying to revive the slow ion. If any of you guys, you OG viewers, have ever heard the term slow ion or ion ninja, well, this is what I'm referring to. This is my 2005 Saturn Ion mom car. It's supercharged, and it's actually been down for the last 5 years because it spun a rod bearing shortly after building the motor, and I was just super unmotivated to do anything with it. But my buddy just picked up a Mazda Speed 6. He's been trying to motivate me to come out here and work on the car, so that's what I've been doing so we can go hit up some car stuff. So I just wanted to show you guys what I've been working on for the last couple of months here, because this thing is about to be brought back to life, so check it out. So let's start with the engine. This is the 2.2 Ecotec. You see these in Cobalt Ions, HHRs, Pontiac G5s, even in some of the old Sunfires and Cavaliers. Basically, every GM four-cylinder car probably has an Ecotec in it if it's been made at some point, or at least some variant. But this is a basically just a base model. It's like 120 wheel horsepower stock, but it's actually got a supercharger on it from the Cobalt SS / Ion Redline, whichever one you prefer. The OEM setup actually bolts up to these engines, so it is actually, that's what I'm running here with a few upgrades. I know someone's gonna be like, I can't believe you're modding a Saturn. Trust me, I know, but it's it's pretty fun regardless. It's actually a solid platform as far as front-wheel drive cars go, because you've got variants of Ecotecs, again, and a ton of GM cars. Parts aren't that expensive. There's not a huge aftermarket, but there is enough to do stuff with. Luckily, GM came out with some performance models on this platform, like the Cobalt SS Supercharged, the Ion Redline, the Cobalt SS Turbocharged. So you're able to swap out a lot of those parts onto the base model cars, which is exactly what I did. Now, this motor actually has a built bottom end. It's got Weisco pistons, Eagle rods in it. It's got stock head, but it's running 82-pound valve springs from ZZP. It's got comp blower cams. The supercharger is running a 2.7-inch pulley on it. It's got a dual pass end plate. Got a Cobra heat exchanger, Cobra flow-through tank, which isn't that pretty, but I care more about function over form when it comes to parts. Got a 3-inch intake there, 60-pound injector, so it actually should be pretty decent power-wise, probably in the high 200s. Maybe with a little bit of luck, 300, but probably not on the ZZP, but probably not on a trifecta tune, which is what I'm running. By the way, I heard they don't actually support these cars anymore, which after I spent all this time putting it back together, I'm not sure what I'm going to do about the tune. Hopefully, the one that I do have is spot on, because if you guys don't know, the reason this car is down in the first place, I actually built the bottom end a while back when the valve seals in my head went out. My buddies convinced me to just throw some rods and pistons in it, and it actually blew up during the tuning session, so it's been down pretty much since then. But it's got a new block, new head, new crank, replaced the rod and pistons and bearings and rings in that one cylinder, well, actually in all of them. But yeah. And it's pretty much ready to go. I think I've got to bleed the clutch, because I just installed a KY stage 3 clutch in it, so I've got to bleed the clutch, which is what I'm going to do today. I've got to put on the intake, some vacuum lines, throw some fluids in it, and from there it's pretty much ready to go. Bring it back to life. Oh, it does have exhaust mods too. Bad map header, ZZP 2.5-inch downpipe, and 2.5-inch exhaust out the back. So yeah, this is the slow ion. It looks like shit, and it's super dirty in here. Ignore the mess. It's been through 2 engine builds, and it's been sitting for 5 years, but hopefully we're going to bring this thing back to life very shortly. I'm by myself right now. I'm still going to try to go ahead and bleed the clutch. I've heard this process is super annoying for these cars, but I'm just going to do the best I can with the help of some bricks. So we'll just kind of get a little leg workout here real quick and see if we can get this thing bled. Hopefully it doesn't take a while. I'm kind of excited to see how the pedal feels with this clutch. I've never had an aftermarket clutch before, and this is a 6-puck, so hopefully it's not too bad, but we'll see. Oh yeah, look at them gauges. Boost, AFR. I actually got to get a new one of these because the LEDs, a couple of the LEDs went out in that thing. But that's them gauges. That's how I'm going to keep an eye on things once this thing is running. Always got to have your hardware info 64 nearby. That's what this is. Working on the overclocked Saturn Ion. I got proper cooling mods and stuff on this card. The oh, I just got a Charlie horse. Oh, hold on. I was gonna say the cable management is trash on the car, but it overclocks pretty nicely. Alright, I wasn't getting the results that I wanted trying this by myself, so I went ahead and got some help, but I'm actually running into an issue. This clutch line down here, I don't even know if you guys can see it, but it keeps popping off even when the clip is down. So it's like leaking fluid everywhere every time that happens, introduces a bunch of air into the lines, and I basically have to start over with bleeding the clutch. Super annoying. I don't know what the issue is there, so I'm just gonna let it vacuum bleed for the time being, and I gotta do some research, man, and find out why it's not, or why that's happening. First of all, I don't know if it's just because it's like there's a lot of air in the line or what. Kind of worried that it's doing that even with the clip down, that is still popping out. So I gotta do some research, figure that out. But for now, the clutch is not bled. I may have to like vacuum bleed it or something like that. But yeah, super annoying, man. But anyways, by the way, sorry about the autofocus earlier. I didn't realize how trash it was on this camera, but I will never use that again. Anyways, that's pretty much it for tonight. I'm gonna do some research and I will keep you guys posted. Alright guys, so it's actually been a couple days since the last update. Turns out my clutch line actually had a broken O-ring on it. That's why it wasn't holding any pressure and it kept popping out. So I went ahead and replaced that. I also went ahead and bled the clutch using a vacuum bleeder. I don't know if you guys can see that clutch line there, but right there. But yeah, there was an O-ring. There's 2 O-rings on there. One of them was actually broken and a piece was stuck off in there, so it wasn't sealing properly. But once I got a new O-ring, everything was all good there. And then again, I mentioned I did vacuum bleed this thing using a vacuum pump that I picked up from AutoZone. This MidiVac vacuum pump. By the way, this thing is a piece of trash. The there's like a pin on the back here that actually popped out when I was trying to pump the damn thing. And of course, I ended up dropping it over in the black hole over here, and who knows where the hell it's at. So I just went ahead and stuck a screw in that little spot, but if you do end up picking one of these up, just be wary. It's a piece of crap, but it actually worked fairly quickly for what I was trying to do, so that was nice. Once I actually figured out what needed to be done, it was not an issue. Anyway, since then I went ahead and threw on the intake that I have here. It's super sketchy, but it'll work. It's just my DIY intake. Threw that on there. I just recently filled up the coolant tank with some coolant to get this thing going. Obviously I'll have to add some more later. And then right now I'm actually going to go ahead and add coolant to the supercharger, cooling stuff. So that is pretty much next up. But I think I may actually be able to start this thing tonight. We will see. The only thing I have left to do other than the coolant over there is actually charge the battery if it's not completely dead, and then I gotta get some gas. Alright, never mind. I do need a battery, so I gotta go ahead and pick that up. Alright guys, moment of truth. I got the new battery in. It's time to start it up for the first time in 5 years. Not gonna lie, I'm super nervous. I hope nothing f***s up. Well, let's go ahead and give it a turn. Let's see what happens. Okay, that's close. Let's try again. Alright. Well, we gotta figure out why it's not cranking. Alright. It sounds good so far though. I should be getting fuel. Fuel's plugged in. I do got my thing plugged in, right? We should be getting spark. Let me figure it out. We'll try this again. Pretty much got all of the fuel drained. I think I got like a quarter of a tank, a little less than a quarter of a tank left. And you guys saw when I did add some gas yesterday, so hopefully this thing will start. If not, I'll try to add more gas, but I drained out a fuckload, so hopefully that was enough. I don't know what's going on with the thing right now, but we're just gonna try to start it and see what happens. Screw it. Alright, here we go. Oh, f off, it wants to so bad. Damn it. Alright, I just let the fuel pump cycle off and on a few times. Let's try again. Son of a bitch. I noticed that when I was trying to turn the car over, my injectors actually weren't firing. There was nothing coming out of them, so I decided to go ahead and clean them with some carb cleaner. I would show you guys kind of the contraption that I put together to clean these, but I'm not sure if it was 100% correct, so if you really want to know how to do it, just YouTube how to DIY clean your injectors, and it should show you the proper way to do it. But I can definitely tell you now that there is a little bit of fluid going through these, or there was carb cleaner going through them without any issues, so I think they should be ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and reinstall these, and hopefully we can fire this thing up.
Ryan Little.
Alright guys, so a little bit of an update. It's been probably about a month since I last came back to this video, but there is a reason my car doesn't start. So you guys can ignore everything that I said before. That's all wrong. I figured out why, and it's gonna cost me some money to fix. So one of the reasons that it's actually not working correctly, or I should say the only reason, is because of the crank position sensor and the crankshaft that is in the block. So back when I spun my rod bearing, I actually bought a new block rather than dealing with a machine shop and fixing the old crank. And the company I bought it from said it was an 06 block. Well, it turns out it's actually an 07 block, which, if you guys don't know, has a different reluctor ring setup, different crankshaft position sensor, all this crap. So basically it's not starting because the ECU cannot determine the position of the crankshaft. Now, I should have been able to know this, or I should have been able to detect this when I was actually building the engine, rather than just taking the company's word for it and going on my happy ass way with throwing it in the block. I should have been paying attention. For whatever reason, I didn't catch my eye, so I ended up building it, putting it back in the car, and after some investigation, finding out that I do in fact have an 07 block instead of an 06. So I've got two options here. One is to pull the engine and replace the crank, or I can buy an external crank trigger wheel, install that, and mount a crank position sensor somewhere so that it can be read by the factory ECU, and that should make the car start. So I'm gonna end this one for now. I have to figure out what I'm gonna do, and I will keep you guys updated. So if you guys give a shit, let me know. And yeah, we're gonna go from there. So that really sucks, but we'll get it figured out in the end, and the supercharged mom car will run eventually. So yeah, I'm out of here. Peace.